Hello everyone. So this talk is the first one of tonight, and I guess all the talks will be about atomic design, and I will go first, and the title is the 5 W's of atomic design. So let's start this. So hello everyone, ciao, I'm Italian, so hello, ciao means, I don't know if you never heard the word, maybe you never been in a restaurant, never been served by an Italian waiter or waitress, and so you never heard the word, that means hello. So as I said, my name is Riccardo, and also, as I already said, I'm Italian. And you know, classic Italian style, stereotypes, pasta, pizza, whatever. I did like a similar talk like in my previous company as like an internal talk, and I also used to have like the emoji of like a football, but I removed that because, you know, in the last month there was like some games on TV, friendlies, I don't care, that never happened. So, yeah. So let's move on. So that's why I am. So what I do. So I'm a lead front-end developer at Hackney Council. Everyone in this room lives in Hackney Borough? Few, cool. So I just joined actually 2 weeks ago, and it's been like very, very good so far. It's a quite interesting job, and it's quite interesting like council, what we're doing. It's very like unique. We are trying to collaborate a lot with other like councils, but also like with central government and like companies that work with central governments. We try to build like digital services that are kind of like user driven. So we're thinking about the users first, more than about technology and other stuff. And we are trying to be like very modern in terms of like the tool that we use. We have like a manifesto, we have like an agile life cycle. We are using like we're moving everything on the cloud, on Heroku and AWS. We use like test-driven development. We do pair programming. It's very, very cool and very, very modern. Other councils, like they don't try to like do this kind of modern stuff, not because they're not able to, but just because, you know, it can be expensive and you need to hire people and stuff like that. But it's very cool. I'm quite excited to have joined this company and the council. And by the way, we are hiring like soon more front-end developers. So if any of you is looking for a job, or you have a job but you want something better, and you know, after this talk and at the end or like in the pub, come and have a chat with me. And especially, you know, minorities, underrepresented groups, for me it's something that's very important. So, you know, feel free to come and have a chat with me. So regarding like, that's my role, you know, lead front-end developer, but like what do I do? Like, I call myself like, you know, juggling like a CSS architect, and it's not a real like, you know, role, but because I love CSS so much, and I care about like writing semantic and accessible HTML. And surprise, I'm not actually a JS developer. So I'm in a JS meetup, but I don't do JS. I can do JS, but I never wrote like any React or Angular or Vue. And you know, you can still be a front-end developer and not be like a JS developer. And that's why, like, you know, sometimes like I think I prefer to call myself a front-end designer. That's something that actually this explains quite well what it is. Like, it's, you know, it's the person that in a way builds like a bridge between like design and development. And this kind of like role, this name was invented by a guy called Brett Frost, who's also like the inventor of atomic design. So, surprise. And also, scary emoji, this is my first ever public talk. So, you know, brace yourself. And, you know, thank you. And, you know, if at some point, like, I panic and I run away, it's not your fault, it's me. So, thank you in advance. And, yeah, there's a little presentation. So, let's start and let's talk about atomic design. As the title said, I will talking about atomic design, considering, like, the 5 W's of atomic design. The 5 W is something that usually get used like in journalism and investigation, so how to like analyze a topic and stuff like that. So the first, it's the who, so who invented atomic design, and as I said, was invented by this guy, Brett Frost, who also has a lovely dog, this dog. And so Brett Frost is a front-end developer, he's an American guy, and he's a very good developer, he's a very nice guy. I never met him, but I know someone who met him. Told me he's a nice guy, so I guess he's a nice guy. And so he came like a few years ago out with this like concept of atomic design and this like methodology about atomic design. He even like developed a tool that can be used for using like the methodology of atomic design called Pattern Lab, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. And Yeah, also he wrote a book about atomic design that probably you should all read. It's digital and also it's physical copy. If you want a physical copy, comes with a nice sticker if you want a physical copy. So this is the guy, this is the dog. So the what. So what is it is atomic design? So we can have like a very simple illustration that can explain everything, and it's this one, but obviously doesn't make any sense for you probably right now because I have to explain what it is. So I will go back to this once I explained a bit more about the what, and I'm pretty sure this will be more clear for all of you. So let's start from the first one, so the atoms. So what is an atom? So an atom, it's a small and independent component. And what I mean with that is that we have a design of a page or a product of an app, and we break down the design into components. And so what we end up doing is not like we design pages or we design screens, we just design and build like components. And if we do that, instead of like doing pages or other kind of like big monolithic stuff, what we do, it's like we're able to avoid repetition and confusion. And what this brings us at the end is just like we can design and build less stuff and quicker because it's less confusing, it's more clear, it's like smaller pieces. And what you get is this kind of like very nice GIF. It's not GIF. And let's watch this again. Like it's looping, so we're gonna have a look what it is. So this is like all atoms. They combine all together in molecules, then a component, then a template, and then a page. So let's go back to this one again. So we have atoms, molecules, organism, templates, and pages. So if we go back this again, so in atoms, for example, here we can see like 3 atoms, like the label, the form and the button, and then that form all together, it's a molecule, this, because it's like an independent component can live by itself, and then it's part with other molecules that can be, in this case, like the header and the nav, and there will be like the full, like, I guess, top bar, we can call it, and then the top bar, it's the organism, and then we combine organism together, and with that we build templates, and then once we have templates, we can add like real data to those templates, and we build pages. And if you think about that, like it's a quite simple concept in a way. It just requires, I guess, breaking down at the beginning, like what you have, and thinking about like breaking down in this concept. So this is so what we're doing and what is atomic design. So let's go next. So the why we're doing this. Like we know what we have to do, and I explain like quickly what is atomic design, but why we're doing it, like what we're gaining with this. So we're doing this because we should design and build components and not pages, as I said before. And the reason why we should do that, it's because today, and not just today as in 2018, today I guess in the last, 10 years probably on the web, like we design and build a lot of everything. We design and build for a lot of devices, and we design and build for a lot of scenarios, devices, your phone, your tablet, your computer, your fridge, because fridge, they can browse the internet, I don't know why, your cards, if you're rich enough, you have a Tesla, I don't know, good for you. And different scenarios, different websites, because you might be a brand, a product, you have different website for your different like branding, your different products, different apps, because can be different devices, different OS and stuff like that. So we have situation like there's all these things that we have to consider. We have these like millions of devices, and this picture is very old. I'm pretty sure now it's like 10 times more than this, as in like the amount of devices that every one of us like use. So then we design and build a lot of pages, because sometimes pages are different from different devices and different use. And then we want to avoid like confusion, mistakes, messy situation. Like we want to avoid something like these, as in like these are all buttons from same website, and this doesn't make any sense. Like why they're all different? There's no like consistency. There's no like same color, like I don't know, padding, spacing, font. Like everything is different. There's no branding. Probably they all code it in a different way, so it's very confusing. We're like bloating the code. We're rewriting things again. This is not ideal for sure. So then the next step is like the where. So where we should implement this atomic design methodology. And we should apply this methodology in our design, as in like, you know, you have your Photoshop, Illustrator, Sketch, Figma, I don't know what you use for designing, Dreamweaver, I don't know, Adobe XD, whatever, in the browser, maybe you design in the browser. You have to apply this methodology as like, you know, just design small components, just like design atoms and then design molecules, like don't design pages, like design like the small things, and when you have all the small components, like build pages out of these designs, these small components that you have. If, you know, if someone comes to you and asking, oh, can I see a full page of this design, you just like combine all these components that you design and you combine them together and the page is there. It's quick and it's better like to kind of like manage and maintain. And this goes also like for, you know, apply this methodology also in your development. So when you like developing something, like don't build like by hand your index.html page or your index.js page, like build all the different components individually, and each of them, they will have their own style and their own like functionality, and then combine them together to build like the pages that you need. And you know, you can do that on the fly, I don't know, depends about your solution, or you can build them like, you know, just need it, but it would be so much easier. Think about like, I don't know, Lego, like you have small bricks and then you build the full thing together. So you just have to, in a way, like build the small bricks first, and it's so much easier. And it's kind of like, I don't know, as I said, like you avoid a lot of mistakes in the process, and it's way more like tiring and tedious and stuff like that. So the last of the 5 W's, maybe the last, it's the when. So when we should think and kind of like apply this methodology of atomic design. And I would say immediately, like as soon as possible, all the time. Like think in atomic design, like every time think that like you should break down things in small pieces, and you should always think like, oh, this small, let's say a small atom, that would be like a simple button, like this thing should be like consistent in throughout your design. Like if, I don't know, a designer comes to you, designer who's not designing thinking about this concept of atomic design, comes to you and shows you like a page with 2 buttons that do the same thing but they look different, then question that. Say like, why this is different? Like this should be the same atom, why this is not the same? And if it's different, does it need to be different? Is it like a variation of the same button, the same atom or not? So like try to simplify and unify your pieces of your designs in a very like small bits in atoms, and just go there and like from there just like build up. So what's next? Next is actually the last thing, this time for real, before I was not being honest. So it's the how. So as I said before, you know, the 5 W's, it's what's being used in journalism and investigation. Sometimes it's the 5 W's and the H. So the H is how. So we know the who, the what, the why, the when, and the where, but how we implement like this methodology of atomic design. And we implement it like building style guides, pattern library, design systems, whatever, what you got. Like, I'm pretty sure like the other folks that like they will talk after me, they will talk about this like in more details. And you know, you can use whatever technology you want, like building in React, in Vue, in Angular. Personally, I like just to build in simple like HTML and CSS and JavaScript, just because in my experience, I've been working in companies like agencies, but also like product companies, where in agency there would be multiple projects, and in product companies there will be multiple products. They're not using kind of like the same coding, like the same like programming languages, not using the same frameworks. So I find like for me it was easier and kind of like more time saving to build like kind of like just simple HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and then with that you can just apply that code in any kind of like already built like framework or application and stuff like that. Obviously that's my preference, and so that's why I'm talking about just like this generic concept. And personally, if I want to use a tool, I use something called Fractal. It's very similar to Pattern Lab. Pattern Lab, as I said before, was the tool invented by Brett Frost. Fractal is being invented by a guy from Clearleft. Clearleft is a digital agency based here in UK, in Brighton. And at the moment, Fractal is not being actively maintained. It's on version 1, but still like very functional and very flexible, and I love it. It's very simple to use, and you can use it whatever you want. And again, like for me, as I said before, like just doing like simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript for me is like the concept of like an MVP. I start with the simple stuff, and then if after that you want to build in React, yeah, just go on top on that, like implement some React. After that you want to do something even more cool, There's some people experimenting with building like live style guides, as in like when you design, automatically when you say something in Sketch or in Figma goes into your like style guide, and that's also amazing. But I think that's like the next step, and it's up to you. One thing that I like is one last thing that I noticed while building like style guides and pattern libraries and implementing the atomic design methodology is like that sometimes you have, as I said, you know, the smallest component is like an atom. An atom could be a button, could be a label, stuff like that, could be a header. And sometimes you have like something that's below that level is, I don't know, your fonts, your color palette, your, I don't know, your spacing, like the stuff like that. So how we should have these kind of like bits in our components, and how do we call them, because they're not atoms, as in like they don't, like your fonts is not a component that lives in a page. So, and I call that particles. I'm not sure if I invented that, probably not, but I think it's cool because it's before atoms and it works. And you know, thank you, that's all.